All right, howdy y'all. So I wanted to talk today. I know the video that I recorded for last class was super long, so I wanted to talk today just about the ambiguous case with law of signs. And remember, we use the law of signs when we are not working with right triangles, when we're trying to figure out um, side and angle measurements, but we can't use SOHCAHTOA because SOHCAHTOA only works with a right triangle. So for the law of signs, you would use law of signs in three cases. If you were given a side and then two angles, if you were given an angle, two angles with the side between them, or if you were given an angle and two sides, and that's where the ambiguous case comes in. So I'm gonna write this down. This is side, side, angle, and like I said last time, you could call this angle side, side, but I'm not gonna do that because we abbreviate this SSA. So if you have side, side, angle, two sides, and then the next angle. That is, you want to use the law of signs to find that, but it's an ambiguous case. So I don't know, am I going to have one solution, two solutions, or no solution? Those are my options for the law of signs. So I'm going to, I know I mentioned in my video last time that I just want you to do the math and try it. But I've received a few emails saying like, hey, Ms. Ray, can you explain like how we can just look at it and know. So you can't just look at it and know, sadly. But I will run through the quick math that you can do to figure out how many solutions you're looking for in a side-side angle situation with a law of signs. So before we do anything, let's say that I gave you, so let's say, I'm going to just draw a line. I'm going to draw boop, an angle, and then I'm going to draw boop, an angle. So let's say I gave you angle A, which would make this side A over here. And we'll just make that, oops, it's going to be a little b, side B. So I have given you two sides and an angle to work with, right? Now, obviously, looking at this particular example, that doesn't make a triangle because if this angle has to be that measurement between the rays, if it has to be that wide, there's no way that this line can reach any sort of opposite line, no matter how you swing it. So if I moved it like this or like this, like there's nothing I could do to make that reach a triangle. So that's what we're going to do. So what I want to do is I want to assume, hey, if this went all the way down to the bottom and made a right angle, ooh. So we're gonna assume that that side A goes down, makes a right angle. I want to try and calculate real quick, if we can, what the measure of this side would be in terms of this angle and this side. So let me be a little more clear about that. So I have a right angle. I know this side. I know, follow me here, I know that the sine of angle A is equal to, let's do this, SOHCAHTOA, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so that's going to be A over B, right? You with me so far? So the sine of angle A is A over B, which means side A is going to be equal to B times the sine of A. Okay, you with me? Feeling good? Okay. So that means that if I have, for any given triangle, let me use green here, I'm using all sorts of colors. For any given triangle in which I know the angle here and I know the side here, I can calculate the height of that triangle. The height there is going to be exactly the same as what we just calculated. It's going to be B times the sine of A, right? Because the height, as we know, will make a right angle with the bottom. All right, we're cool there. Okay, so no matter what, if I know this angle and I know this side, then I can figure out that the height of the triangle has to be equal to b times the sine of angle A. Okay, so if we know that, then here's what I can go for. If I'm given side A, side B, and angle A. If I'm given that information, which is an angle side information, so I know it's an ambiguous case, here are the things that I can tell from this. If side A is less than the height of the triangle, so that means that side A is less than B times the sine of angle A. Right? If the side A is less than the height, so B times the sine of A, what that means is that in this situation, let's go back up here. What that means, if side A right here is less than the height, that means, let me move this little guy over here. Let me erase that. Oops, not that. Let me circle this. That means that I don't have enough length to get down to the bottom of the triangle. Not only that, but there's no angle that would work up here that could get me down to a triangle, right? I cannot make a triangle. So if side A is less than B times the sine of A is less than the height of that triangle, that means, friends, there is no solution. Okay, so if A is less than the height, A is less than B times the sine of A, there's no solution. So that is situation number one. Okay, let's look at situation number two. If A is exactly equal to the height, if A is exactly equal to the height, which means A is exactly equal to B times the sine of A, well, what does that mean? If it's exactly equal, there's only one way that it can hit, and that means it's going to be exactly equal to the height. So it's going to be the height, which means it's going to make a right triangle. So that means there's only one possible solution, right? So if A is exactly equal to the height, that means it's one solution, and that solution is going to make a nice fancy right triangle, right? Okay, so now let's go into our other situations. Okay, if, let me, I like using a bunch of different colors, y'all. It makes me feel, I don't know, fancy. Okay, so let's do this. If A is greater than the height, okay? If A is greater than the height, which means A is greater than B times the sine of A, okay? And, this is important, and A is less than B, okay? A is less than B. So if A is greater than the height, but A is also less than B, let's just sketch out what that looks like real quick. I'll stick with purple. So there's the bottom. We're going to make this angle A. We're going to make this side B. Okay, so if A is less than the height, so here is, let's use a different color for height. That's my height. So, or sorry, if A is greater than the height, not less than the height, golly gee willikers. So we're going to say, all right, here's A. I'm going to make it just a little bit longer than the height, but I'm going to move it over here. So if A is longer than the height, but it's not as long as side B. So if I twist this around like that, I'm like, hey, side B, like your side B is definitely longer than side A. What that means is that I have the possibility of making two triangles. And let me show you how. Two triangles or two solutions is what I was about to write. OMG. So A is greater than the height, so I can definitely make a triangle, but it's less than B, which means here's a possible triangle. Let me zoom in a little bit. Here's a possible triangle right there. And I'm going to try not to change up my the size of this because I'm just like zooming with my fingers. So right there is a triangle. Boom, I made a triangle. I can also take it in this way. Don't fail me now. Don't fail me now. And shablam, I have made another triangle that way. So the first triangle, as a reminder, um, went out this way. So that was triangle number one. And then the second triangle is this guy right here, this little teensy triangle right here. That still counts as a triangle, y'all. So I have two possible triangles, right? So that of side A is greater than the height, but it's less than side B, which means I can move that side. So that means I'm going to have two possible solutions that I need to be on the lookout. Okay, so let me put a little box around that guy. Okay, and then our last situation is if, wait a second, let me try to make my font match here. Let's go red. Um, if A is greater than the height, so A is greater than B times the sine of A, um, and A is bigger than B, not big B, little b. A is bigger than side B. So in this situation, check this out. Right there, shablamarama. There's my angle A right there. There's side B. Here's my height. And not only am I going to make side A bigger than the height, I'm going to make side A longer than side B. So let's just, here's side B right here. So let's, I don't know, stretch it out right there. And so it's definitely longer than the height, definitely longer than side B. So it's going to go off the paper that way. That means, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, one solution, because I can't take this this giant line. I can't take it and make another triangle back this way. It's not going to work with the side that I was given for B and then angle. I can't do that. So the only place that that's going to line up is going to be way out there. So this time, oh, Lindsay Ray, come on, don't, oh golly, hang on. It's oh shucky darn shucky, there we go. Okay, so that way, that means there is only one triangle or one solution. Okay, so those are those are your four things to look for when you were given an angle side side or a side side angle. So remember that means it's a side side and the angle next to it. It's not two sides with the angle between them. That's side angle side, which is different. That's not an ambiguous case. It's only if you have side side angle, which is SSA or ASS. But I don't want to let's not write that. Let's not write that a lot. Okay, so if you have that situation, ambiguous case, that's what you need to look for. I have an angle, I have an angle, a side, and a side. Ambiguous case, anytime you were given that. That's why I want you to draw a sketch of your triangles when you were given information so that you can tell what you have. So these are your four situations. If A is less than the height, A is less than B times sine of A, no solution. If it's exactly equal, one solution. If it's greater than the height and also greater than B, so A is the biggest side, so that means the side opposite the angle. If that's the biggest side, there's only one triangle. If it is bigger than the height, but it's smaller than the other side, that is less, that's two triangles, two possible triangles. So y'all, what I wanted to do real quick was just roll through a couple of situations and just say like, hey, how many solutions might you have? How many solutions? Not necessarily to solve a bunch of them, but just to figure out how many solutions there are. Okay, so let's do, I'm just going to do a couple of examples down here, maybe in purple. I don't know. Okay, man, I keep changing around my fonts. So we are going to solve the no, we're not going to solve the triangle. I just said we weren't going to solve the triangle. What we're going to do, state how many solutions each triangle has. Okay, so for example, let's do side, I don't know. Let's call this side A is 4, side B is 5, and angle A is 95 degrees. Okay, let's do this. So we're going to sketch it first so we can figure out, do we actually have a side-side angle, an ambiguous case situation. So here, okay. So I'm going to start with the angle. This is going to be angle A. It's 95 degrees, which means the side opposite of A, that's going to be 4. So that's the opposite side A over there. And then this side, let's just make this side B equals 5. Okay, so what I want to do, I've started my triangle and I want to figure out what is that height right there. So I'm going to say, all right, I know that the height is equal to B times the sine of A. So this side times the sine of this angle. And it always has to be in this configuration, y'all. So make sure, because then the letters can change up. So if you need to like draw your little triangle and be like, okay, I'm finding H. So I know that the sine of 95 is H over B, because that's opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm going to multiply both sides times B. If you need to do it that way, do it that way. Like, that's fine. Make sure that you're paying attention to what letters you're using, what sides you're using. So B times the sine of 95, so that would be 5 times the sine of 95 equals H, which is B times the sine of A. Okay, so I am just moving all around here and not being super organized, which I apologize for. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right, so I'm going to get my trusty calculator. Boop, boop. I'm going to type in, make sure I'm in degrees. I am. I'm going to type in 5 times the sine of 95 equals 4.981 equals the height. Okay, so remember, I need to figure out what is my relationship with A and the height. So in this case, A is 4 and the height is 4.981. So that means A is less than the height. What does that mean if A is less than the height? I'll give you a hint. That means there is no solution. That means no matter what I do, there is nothing that is going to make this side long enough to reach to the other side. So I can just say flat out, no solution. Simples. Okay, let's do another example. I'll try to be more organized in this one. Okay, let's try. I think I'm gonna give you some different numbers or different letters so that you can practice with some different letters. So let's say B is equal to 4, C is equal to 3, and angle B is equal to 40 degrees. So remember, little letters represent sides, big letters, capital letters represent angles. So let's sketch out our triangle here. Oh, golly. Y'all, did I tell you last time? I think I told you that I downloaded TikTok a couple of days ago. Man, it was a mistake because now I can't stop watching it. I can't, what? I don't even know what I'm watching half the time, but it's mesmerizing. Like, the dancing is just, anyway, I understand now. Okay, so I'm going to make this my angle. That's going to be 40 degrees. So that is my angle B right there, which means side B is going to be opposite that. So B equals 4. And then I'm going to make this side C right here. So that is going to be 3 right there. Now, we want to find the height of this one. So remember, if you need to draw yourself a little triangle, that's fine. So I know the sine of 40 degrees, this is my height, is equal to the height over 3, because that's opposite over hypotenuse, right? So we're just looking back to SOHCAHTOA. That's how I'm finding that. So to get the h by itself, I'm just going to multiply both sides times 3. So 3 times the sine of 40 degrees is equal to the height. So let's do this. 3 times the sine of 40 degrees is 1.928 is equal to h. Okay, so we don't have an a to look at here because we're always like, what's a? What's the a value? So I'm not looking at a. What I'm looking at is the angle, this guy right here, or sorry, the side opposite the given angle. So that's the side that I need. That's like my floating side that I need to figure out. Are you long enough? Are you just right that you can make 2 lines? Do you like are you a right triangle? Are you super long? What's going on? So in this case, the height is 1.928, and the side in question is 4. So y'all, what that means is B is greater than the height. Okay, so now let's go up and look at our situation. So we're going to be in one of these two. Let me get a better marker of where I'm at. We're going to be in one of these two situations where that extra side is larger than the height. So what we need to do now is figure out the and part. Is that side larger than the other side or smaller than the other side? And that's going to tell us where to go. So let's go back down here and check it out. So our extra side is larger than the height, but let's see, what is it in relation to the, it is bigger than that side. Okay, so B is greater than C, which means it's going to be this one right here. This one right here. So it's bigger than the height. The extra side is bigger than the height, and and it's bigger than the other given side, which means I'm going to have one solution for this one. One solution. Yeah, piece of cake, right? Okay, so let's do one more. Example. And just because I haven't drawn them in a little while, y'all, here is your penguin wearing sunglasses for the day. We're supposed to have some very sunny weather coming up, so this guy's going to be on the beach, chilling out. He's a warm weather penguin, not a cold penguin. He likes the sun. Okay, so here is our situation. Let's do A equals 2, B equals 3, and angle B equals 40 degrees. Okay. So again, let's give our little triangle a sketch real quick. So this is going to be, oh shucky darn, that's not right. I wrote that down wrong. I'm so sorry. Let's go back. That was supposed to be angle A up here was 40. That's right. Okay. So let's make this angle A, that is 40 degrees, which means the opposite side here is 2, that's A. And then let's make this up here be 3. So to figure out how many solutions, we need to calculate that height right there. So I'm going to say the sine of 40 degrees equals the height over 3. And y'all, you don't need to do this every time. If you can just remember that the height is equal to this side times the sine of this angle, that's fine. You can just write that down. I'm just kind of showing you, if you don't remember how to get there, you can use this little calculation. All right, let's use our, speaking of calculations, that's 3 times the sine of 40 degrees, thank you. That's 1.928. And y'all, I got a good question about rounding because I'm kind of all over the place. I usually, in my notes, I like to use 3 decimal places. I think 2 decimal places is probably plenty. So if you wrote 1.93, that's fine. I like 3 because I like to be accurate and it makes me feel more mathy. But 2 is probably fine. Just make sure you're on any assessments, make sure you're reading the directions about that. Okay, so let's look at our side A compared to the height. Just barely, side A is greater than the height. So let's go back up and look at our situation. So we are again in one of these two situations. So we need to see, all right, are we here where side A is less than B, which means two triangles, or are we here where side A is greater than B, and we are with one triangle? So here is side A, here is side B, the other known side. It is less than that. So y'all, that means we are going to have two possible solutions or two triangles. You can write solutions or triangles here, whatever floats your boat. So when you're solving that one, you would want to look for two triangles. Okay, y'all, that's all I wanted to show you was how to figure out how many solutions you had. I will probably do another video today just with a couple more examples for law of sines, just because I've been getting a couple of questions about those. So feel free to go check that out. But otherwise, the homework, the Go formative, is about finding the number of solutions and then solving triangles using the law of sines and sines only. Next time, next week, we will be talking about the law of cosines. Then we're going to be doing a review. And then the week after that, we are ready for our assessment on this unit. All right, y'all, holler at me if you have any questions. Send me an email or come to one of my fancy Zoom meetings. And yeah, I miss you guys. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're thinking about math a little bit. And I will talk at you soon. Okay, bye.